Hi, everyone. It's Yvonne Emil Elizondo from Silver Moon Astrology and Transpersonal Counseling, also known as Silver Moon Counseling. I'm cracking up because I have tried like 6 or 7 times to start this video, and my beautiful, sweet baby boy, Azul, has decided that he wants to play with his squeaky toy. And so every time I start, all I hear is squeak, 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 squeak. So he's pouting. I took the squeaky toy and I put it in the closet. There he is. Now he's going to try to escape. Yeah. So let's see how this goes. All right. So here's why so he's trying to look for it. He's like desperately trying to get under the door. Anyways, I'm a bad mom. I know. Okay. Why am I here? That's a good question. I ask myself that all the time. Why am I here, right? But I'm here because I want to share with everyone the astrology for Valentine's Day, the days leading up to Valentine's Day, a few days after Valentine's Day, and all of this Aquarius energy that we are now in the midst of. And so, yeah, I'm gonna share the energy with you, and then I'm gonna let you make up your mind to see how you feel about the energy that we're about to dive into. Well, we're actually already in it, but we're going to dive into it a little bit more. So first and foremost, I want to say this. So Valentine's Day, right? Yeah. So Valentine's Day is about the heart. It's about the goddess of love, Aphrodite, right? She comes in and she's like just making us feel good, and Cupid comes in. And so there's all of this love energy going on, right? I'm not really quite sure why we celebrate Valentine's Day in Aquarius, why we celebrate Venus in Aquarius during Aquarius season, because Venus in Aquarius, yeah, not the best placement for our love goddess to be in to actually celebrate the day of love. So Aquarius is an air sign. Okay, it's in the middle of the cold season. It's still during winter. It is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is the planet of constriction. It's cold, it's dry, it's not a fluffy, come over here and let me nurture you and let me be affectionate planet. So I don't really know, other than the fact that maybe it was Saint Valentine's, okay, ceremony during this time, but I still don't know why that we would celebrate Valentine's Day during Aquarius season. So, okay, enough with my rant. Okay, let's talk about this. I'm going to share the chart with you as I usually do. I did cast this chart for February 14th. 12 a.m. exactly, because a few minutes before this, we do have a pretty strong conjunction between Mars and Pluto. But anyhow, I just chose this particular time to help you and me really understand what it is that we are dealing with. So look at all of this Aquarius energy that we are dealing with. Venus is going to be in Aquarius too, so I'm going to include her in there, even though in the chart she is technically in Capricorn at this time. But yeah, that's a lot of Aquarius energy. So we have, let me just backtrack. Let me say, on January 20th, we had Pluto, okay, and the Sun ingress. They were both in Capricorn. They ingressed into Aquarius. And then on February 5th, we had Mercury step into Aquarius, ingress into Aquarius, and connect with Pluto. And then on the 14th, which is February 14th, we're going to have Mars stepping into Pluto, right? Stepping into Aquarius together with Pluto. And then on the 17th, February 17th, we will have Venus ingressing, stepping into Aquarius and connecting with Pluto. So why is this important, right? Why? Because all of these are our personal planets, okay? So we have the sun that represents our sense of spirit, our ego, our energy. We just had the new moon on February 9th here in Aquarius. So the moon was also there. It represents our emotions. It activated a lot of that Aquarian energy. We have the mind of Mercury. We have the will of Mars. And then we have the love or the heart of Venus, all coming in connection with Pluto. So all of the personal planets are connecting with Pluto. This is pretty big. Okay, this is huge energy because these personal planets are going to, the energy of this time period is going to show up much more individually, I think, collectively as well. But because these are our personal planets, there's going to be more of that interconnectedness that happens. And let's see how that plays out. So let's talk about Aquarius energy. I briefly mentioned that it is an air sign. It's fixed air. And so Aquarius and Capricorn are both ruled by the planet Saturn. Okay, Saturn is about boundaries and constriction and responsibility and structure and organization and foundation, and right. In Capricorn, Saturn creates physical manifestation of boundaries, okay, and structure, because Capricorn is Earth. But in Aquarius, which is the energy that we're dealing with, Aquarius energy is very much about exploring everything outside of those boundaries that Saturn creates. So it's constantly rebelling against those boundaries. And it's in a state of trying to maneuver, find new ways or ingenious ways of, moving beyond those boundaries that Saturn has created, the old structures that Capricorn loves so much. Aquarius is the rebel. It's the liberator. It is ruled by Saturn, as I mentioned, but the influencer for Aquarius is Uranus, and Uranus is sudden, erratic, change and liberation and freedom. And so Aquarius really does represent breaking free of those bounds or those boundaries or those constraints that Saturn has created. So that is the energy that we're dealing with, which means that it is a more mentally constructive energy, right? Because it's an air sign, it's more mentally constructive. And so Aquarius really enjoys those more structural, mental dynamics. There's a lot of philosophical consideration with this Aquarius in Pluto, with philosophically, looking within and deciding how you view things. There you go. Philosophically. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. So Aquarius is very much about taking a look at how we can move beyond those boundaries. I keep saying that because that's what Aquarius really, really does. So it represents technology. Okay. It represents artificial intelligence, of course. We're looking at anything cosmic, okay, anything outside the boundaries of Earth. So it's very geared towards UFO conspiracies. It's very interstellar, interterrestrial. It's UFOs, aliens. There we go. Okay. So it's very much geared towards those kind of eccentric, weird, out of the box kind of themes, but it also likes to create a mental structure in that way, which means that processes are important. Anything list, plans, okay, there needs to be a plan oriented with this Aquarius energy. It is fixed air, which means that it definitely needs foundation, okay, to build upon, but more so this mental, how we approach the world, how our philosophical perspective of the cosmos, okay, our, role here. So if you know any Aquarius energies, you will know, or people, right, you will know that my mom's Aquarius rising. And so they're very much about wanting to help and support the collective, the group, the larger energy, right? Like the group of people, but they also need distance and they need their own space. So that's that Aquarius energy where it's very much an internalized kind of energy. There's a lot of mental internalized energy going on, but a lot of that, when it's manifested into reality, it does impact or have a direct influence on the people as a whole, on society and group at large, if that makes any sense. So that's very much the Aquarius energy. Okay, now let's take a step back and let's take a look at these planets and how they have connected with Pluto in Aquarius, and why this is going to be a very interesting February 14th, love day, days before and days after. So let's start with Pluto. Pluto is the destroyer. It's the transformer. It comes in and it breaks things down methodically, right? It's the Lord of the Underworld, as I've always said. Okay. And I mean, I don't know about you, but the Underworld sometimes doesn't seem too pleasant, does it? No, it's not fluffy. It's dark and it's cold and it's plutonic, right? Heavy. There's this essence of intensity wherever Pluto is in any particular given place and time. And so Pluto likes to break things down methodically, but Pluto comes in and breaks things down, not because it's trying to be a jerk, okay, but more because it's trying to show us where it is that the structures and the foundation and those places where we feel really secure and we believe that nothing can topple us over, where those have faults, okay, where there's creeping, cracks in those stabilities that we consider like, yeah, that's never going to happen to us. So it literally comes in and slowly starts to methodically break things down. Now, what I mean by slowly, what I mean by that is that there could be one big, poof of, oh, shoot, chaos is happening, right? And then it breaks down from there, or it can start showing signs of structural wear and tear. Okay. And then there's this drop that happens. So Pluto is very interesting in that way. But basically what it's doing is that it's taking your idea or your belief that things are stable and showing you, hey, no, they're really not. So this could be in your finances. This can be in your house of, in your place of relationships, friendships, your career, your home, maybe your hobbies, your artistic adventures, okay, your children, I mean, your philosophical belief systems. Okay, so wherever, and Pluto, the last 16 years traveling through Capricorn, really broke down my own spiritual beliefs and my own philosophical underpinnings of the world. Like that was crazy, okay, during that time. So Pluto ingressed from Capricorn into Aquarius on January 20th. Now, it's going to take a dip back and just say goodbye to Capricorn forever and ever. Well, not forever and ever, for another 250 plus years, but it's going to say goodbye, spend a few weeks in Capricorn, and then come back, and continue its trek through Aquarius. It steps back into Capricorn from September 9th, I believe, to about November 11th or so. But then after that, it is in Aquarius. It's going to stay in Aquarius and travel through Aquarius for the next 20 years. So we can expect a lot of those Aquarian themes to start showing up. And we already have, if you haven't been watching, what's been going on as far as, the world at large. So, okay, so that's Pluto. Now, from a psychospiritual point of view, Pluto really represents those unconscious patterns. Okay, it represents those fears, self-doubts, self-worth, anything that is functioning within an unconscious, okay, patterning, which means that they're there, but we don't really recognize that they're there, or we're trying to avoid that they're there. And so what Pluto does is it comes in and it breaks down those belief systems that you have. And so that those old unconscious and even subconscious patterning can come up. And that's not always pleasant, right? Because most of us have these unconscious patterns for a reason. We are trying to avoid them, or we don't know they're there. We haven't healed from trauma. We haven't, fully grieved. We haven't fully accepted, transition or change. And so a lot of that unconscious patterning gets pushed underneath. And then here comes Pluto, boom, 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 right? And it's like, oh, let's dig this up because this is going to be so much fun, right? And so we have this evolutionary, energy that happens with Pluto, that we start to feel those qualities of ourselves or of life that we may not be very comfortable with, but they have to come up so that we can heal them, we can deal with them, we can transform them, we can break them down. And then Pluto doesn't break things down just to break things down. It breaks things down so that we can analyze, to really discern what it is that we need to keep, and then to rebuild in a different way, a much more healthier way. And that's really the core of, what Pluto does in everybody's chart. So anyhow, and that's what Pluto did to me the last 16 years. And now it's moving into a different spot in my chart. So yeah, yay, fun times. Okay, so now let's talk about February 14th and why this might be a very interesting few days as we celebrate, Venus in Aquarius, which is already kind of iffy. So January 20th, we had the sun, our energy, our sense of self, our ego, our purpose. Okay. Collectively, it represents all of, the energy, okay, that we are working with. And so when Pluto and the sun got together, what we saw, or at least what I saw, and some in the news, but more along with my clients, is there was some people getting sick, right? It was like there was a depletion of that vibrant energy. Okay, so we started to see a little bit more illness. We started to see depletion of energy. We started to see where people were just not motivated. There was even a sense of, having to acknowledge your fractured ego, right? And that doesn't always feel good. That means that we have to look within and say, okay, what parts of us are not, when they're not showing up the best that they could be, right? So that was during that time period in January 20th. Then February 5th, we had the planet of the mind, of communication, okay, the planet of thinking, Mercury, connect with Pluto. So we started to see during that time period, again, that more mental structure, right? That Aquarius air quality and Mercury together, we started to see maybe more of that deceptive thinking, or maybe recognizing that there was lies or deception that we were dealing with. I mean, it could be self-deception, right? Maybe we're thinking of ourselves after our ego breakdown. We're like, we're fine, we're fine, we're fine. And then all of a sudden Mercury and Pluto get together and you're like, you're having a mental breakdown. Okay. So that's kind of the energy that we were dealing with. We're also, and from a mundane point of view, we do notice that there's more misinformation that is brought to the surface with Pluto in and Mercury connecting. So we do start to see, okay, and explore more of those topics, like, really, is this really true? Are we really going to believe this, or do we need to do some re-examining of these subjects, or whatever it may be? So that was Mercury. Now here's where it gets really interesting, because the moon on the 9th in Aquarius, the new moon in Aquarius, activated all of this energy, right? And so now it's like prime. It's like, all right, for this lunar month, we are going to be dealing with a lot of that Aquarius energy. Okay. So now when Mars is ingressing, okay, on the 14th, on Valentine's Day, it's ingressing into Aquarius. Mars is, the god of war, the god of fire. Yeah, you see where we're going with this here? Okay, so now you have the god of the underworld and the god of war, and they're connecting, and that is never a pleasant time. I mean, it could be it's anywhere from it's a little uncomfortable to holy cow, my life just blew up. Okay, like there's a big spectrum of how this energy can show up, but it's, yeah, on Valentine's Day, I mean, I don't know, right? So Mars is the essence of the will, right? It's motivation, it's action. Okay, but it also represents separation, because it's the the lesser malefic. And so what it does is that it separates. It's not a cohesive energy. It's constant, and it's constantly in a state of separating, which separation is inflammation, irritability, right? Conflict, okay, chaos. All right. So this Mars energy in Aquarius is very much associated to the mind. So there's going to be that agitation, that mental restlessness, that really wanting to just get to the bottom of things very quickly, but not being able to find a way to how to get to the bottom of things, right? Because this Aquarius energy is very much based on structure and formation. And so Mars just kind of wants to plow through that, and it can't do that. Okay. It wants to, but it's not, it can't. Okay. So Mars is very much coming together with this Plutonic energy. And so what that means in Aquarius is that there could be, disagreements, again, anywhere from a small disagreement to a whole battle, War of the Roses on Valentine's Day. So, hey, we might need some divorce attorneys to, hang around, and we may get a call from, or we may have to call those divorce attorneys during this time period, because again, that's the energy that we're dealing with. Now, from a psychospiritual perspective, this restless energy, it can be motivating, right? So sometimes when we feel like our life is being, ground down, okay, Pluto's breaking things down and transforming, sometimes we do need that external fire to kick in, or even the internal fire, because it's an individual planet. that internal fire to kick in, to start, getting us out of this, tearing down that's happening in our life. And so that motivation, that fire, that energy is really important. So motivation of the mind, taking a look at your worldviews, really analyzing and reevaluating what's actually working for you and what's not working for you, and how you can take action to make those corrections during this time period. Okay. And then we have Venus stepping into, this conjunction with Pluto on the 17th. So a few days after Valentine's Day, right? So now the love goddess is coming in and she's connecting right away with Pluto. And so the love goddess is very much in tune with like love and connection and intimacy and those things that we value and those things that we find enjoyable, right? She represents money and beauty, and again, love, right? And so when she connects with Pluto in this way, there's an intensification of that quality. And in Aquarius, because again, Venus isn't all that great in Aquarius, right? She's connecting on a love level from the mind, okay, from the constructs, the mental constructs that we're creating. So Venus in Aquarius is not going to be affectionate and loving and, all things like she is in Leo or dramatic, or even in Libra. She does really well in Libra. She rules Libra, right? Libra is an air sign, but it's a socially connecting air sign. So Libra is constantly in a state of wanting to find balance and partnership, okay? And just working from that connecting place, whether it's friendship or intimate relationship or contracts or whatever it is, right? Okay. Venus also does really well. She rules Taurus. Taurus is earth, and it's fixed earth, and it's the manifestation of all of those qualities that we find, pleasant to deal with. It's the physical manifestation of beauty and food and art. And all of those things that we love, like a big box of chocolate candy on Valentine's Day, right? Okay. So Venus does really great in those two signs. And so Venus in Aquarius has more of a struggle. In Pisces, she's exalted. In Pisces, it's water, mutable water. Like she can grow. She's psychic and connecting and loving and compassionate, moody too, right? But opposite of Pisces is Aquarius. It's the cold season, right? It's winter. Aquarius is winter. She's ruled by Saturn. And so there's a limit to what and how Venus can show up in regards to how she connects with others, especially from the heart. Okay. And so again, with Pluto, there's going to be more of an intensity. Pluto can create the essence of power struggles during this time period, during, Valentine's Day, a few days before and a few days after, because we have this sense of Pluto's about control and power and fear, right? And lack of self-worth and diving into the dark shadow side. And so when you take the heart, you take this beautiful, Aphrodite energy and you take her into this deep, dark place, it's like, oh, well, now I'm going to be obsessed. Now I'm going to be a stalker. Now I'm going to want control in my relationship. And I will even become manipulative, mentally manipulative, and create all of these stories, okay, just so that I could get what I want. Yeah. So that's kind of the energy that we're going to be dealing with during Valentine's Day. Isn't that pleasant? It is. What can I say? Yeah. So how do we mitigate this energy, right? How do we, from a psychospiritual point of view with this Venus energy, right? It is about taking a look at, where in your life there needs to be some transition, some transformation in how you are approaching your perspective of how to connect with other people. Okay, this is a great time to take a look at the underbelly of how you're truly, approaching relationships. And I know my friends are going to call me out on this, especially Julie, because I get it. Okay. Yes, this is a perfect time for me to explore why I insist on saying I want to be in a relationship, but then I actually don't do anything to end up in a relationship. Yes, I know. I'm calling myself out here. Okay. This is an example. So during this time period, even though collectively we are focused on love and all things Valentine and roses and boxes of chocolate, what I'm going to say is be very mindful that along with this wonderful, beautiful ceremony that we usually have, celebration, more so, you may be experiencing like some more in-depth time. Sit with yourself. Take a look at how you're connecting with yourself. What's your self-esteem look like right now? Is it, functioning really well, or is it down in the, what, right? How are you allowing other people to connect with you? What's your motivation to connect with other people, right? Are you connecting more from a mental quality like Aquarius? Are you willing to, dive into more of a heart-based, affectionate type of approach and not create those boundaries that Saturn creates for Venus in Aquarius? So this would be a really great time. You might notice some of these unconscious patterns, coming to the surface, unconscious patterns that you maybe don't want to deal with, that you're going to have to deal with in order to heal, in order to, move forward, right? And those unconscious patterns, again, could be anything from those habits, addictions that we have been, enslaved to maybe feeling like we have to work constantly and don't have time off. Okay. And, even just the stories, the mental stories that we're telling ourselves during this time period, this would be a really great time to take a step back and focus on loving yourself. That's what I'm going to say. Focus on loving yourself no matter what comes up. That's the best thing you can do during this Valentine's season. So, all right, everyone, that is it. And if you want to learn more where this energy is impacting you, come sit with me. We can have a consultation. We can strategize, create a plan, right? And you can find me at silvermooncounseling.org. That is silvermooncounseling.org. And that's it. Thank you, everyone. I do hope that everyone has a wonderful, wonderful Valentine's Day, regardless of the energy. Okay, be kind to yourselves. And I know some pretty good divorce attorneys in case you need some, but you won't. You'll be fine. I'm just kidding. All right, everyone. Take care and blessed be.